Hey everybody, my name is Russ. That is Lauren. Welcome to our Thursday music discussion video. And today is one that is another benefit you get of us talking about things in the car or around the house and whatnot. And that is, it crossed my mind to look up what the 5 most expensive records ever made were, because one of my favorite albums of all time is notorious, maybe not of all time, but of the artist catalog, is notorious for being one of the most expensive records of all time. And so I Googled it and started doing some research. We're going to share with you a little bit of what I found on each record. And Lauren did some fun math. That's going to be fun for this. But I was surprised by one entry. It's surprised by 3. And then there was the one that I knew was going to be there. So we're going to share all 5 with you and a little bit of notes on each one. Coming in at number 5 for the most expensive records of all time. And actually, I should say this real quick before we go through all the numbers. All of the money that I'm going to talk about, like this is how much this record cost, is all adjusted for inflation. So no matter what year this came out, this is how much it would cost in as of when we're shooting this video, which is we're shooting it in early April 2025. You're going to see it a couple months later, but that's when it's been shot. So if somebody screws up massively and costs a lot more between now and then we'll update this video eventually.
I'll do more math.
It would take a lot for someone to do that. The first one is one that surprised me. You're a big Spice Girls fan.
I am.
I've never been Spice Girl adverse, but like I didn't know that Victoria Beckham ever had a solo record.
Nor did I.
And I think it kind of shows in some of the numbers that a lot of people didn't. But Victoria Beckham's solo record comes in at number 5. It took him 2 years to record this record. All of the money, from what I can tell, was being poured into like production and promotion and whatnot, because they just kind of assumed that it was going to be a big, huge hit, which is not a bad assumption. You know, you're coming off of the Spice Girls and everything.
Yeah.
And you have other artists who have gone solo and always end up being big hits. But anyways, the record only debuted at number 10, which is crushingly low for when it was released. There were only 2 singles released off of it. And here's the kicker. This record only sold 80,263 units, which is here now in 2025, someone might be like, wow, that's a number 1 album because of how terrible the music industry is now. But that back then, this is when you should have been moving 3, 4, 5, 6 million units. So the fun part that Lauren did for the math, though, is basically what they would have had to have sold each of those copies at for them to make their money back, right? So if they sold 80,263 copies of the Victoria Beckham record, in order for them to make back the the 13 million that they spent making it, they would have had to have sold each copy at
just shy of 162 American dollars.
Which I have not heard the record, but I have to assume it's not going to be worth that.
I don't think so.
What's funny is if it was ever released on vinyl, I bet the copies of vinyl go for more than that.
I'm sure.
Now, the next one on the list is an artist who's going to make 3 appearances in this top. And to be honest, I was surprised by all 3 of these. But the first one that coming in at number 4 is Dangerous by Michael Jackson, which costs between 18 and 23 million. I don't know why, but this is the only one on the list that I couldn't find an exact number for. It's like some people say it costs this, some people say it costs that. But if adjusted for inflation, it would cost 18 to 23 million. It took 3 years to record. All the money for this, again, went to production, promotion, and that type of thing. But also, when you're dealing with a level artist at that level, and, you know, he's following up to, at the time, the largest selling record of all time, another one on the heels of that. Thriller set a record for top 10 singles off of it, and then Bad broke that. So, like, I think the money just kept being poured into this, being like, well, it's going to sell a gajillion copies anyways.
Yep.
So, like, let's just make it sound as good as it can. They did end up selling, the record debuted at number 1, so they did sell a lot. There were 9 singles off of the album. It did not break Bad's record for top 10 singles, but still it had 9 singles.
So there was no Breaking Bad.
There you go.
Sorry.
And the record cost $32 million to make. I'm sorry, I'm saying that backwards. It sold 32 million copies, but it cost between 18 and 23 million. So I don't know which figure you used.
I split the difference and I went 20.
Okay.
Because it's
so
easier math.
Let's say it cost them $20 million to make this. How much would they have to sold each copy of Dangerous at in order to make that money back?
62.5 cents.
So they made some money on Dangerous.
I would say so.
Yeah, is what you're saying. Is they've definitely made some money. Because you got to figure when Dangerous came out, that was at the time of $16, $17 CDs. It was available on vinyl then. It was available on cassette then. It's been reissued on vinyl many times. Sony is not hurting for money, whereas Dangerous is concerned. In the number 3 spot, rather, is one that I, again, was kind of surprised at how much money it took to make this, and that's Michael Jackson's History. The reason why I'm surprised by that is because half of the record is already done. It's a 3 CD set, or it's a 2 CD set, 3 LP, 2 cassette set that has half the music was already done for. So
right.
I was kind of like, wait,
why?
What? Yeah. Took 2 years to record. All the money went into the production, of course, and the promotion. And what's interesting about this record is with promotion that we're fighting 2 completely different battles. Over in Europe, they were Michael Jackson was and still is celebrated in the way that he should be. So they did promotion like the big, huge history statue down the Thames River and all of those type of things. Like they were pouring money into this to be like, this is the greatest star in the world. And like, here's,
hooray!
All this stuff coming, all this new material coming. And here they had to spend all the money combating all the ridiculous stories from the mainstream media, like just to be able to say like, okay, but this is history and his story. And it's a ridiculous amount of money that was spent for 2 totally different reasons going into this, but it took 2 years to record the new material, cost $18 million, again, adjusted for inflation. But it sold 20 million copies, debuted at number 1, and had 5 singles released. And this is another record too, that if Sony would re-release it, the numbers would go through the roof for this. But since they haven't, this is where it's at. 20 million, 18 million. So if they were going to sell any copy of History in order to make their money back, what would they have to sell back?
This was the easiest math of all,
right,
because 18 is 90% of 20, so it was 90 cents.
Yeah. So, and again, with a 2 CD set, 2 cassette set, 3 LP set, I think the vinyl when it came out was $35. It goes for a lot more than that.
So more than 90 cents.
Right. Yeah. For 90 cents. The CD, a 2 CD set back then, I think went for $26, something like that. So yeah.
The cassettes were $19.99.
Yeah, we know because we have one in the house that's still sealed. The next one on the list is the one that sparked this whole discussion, and it's the one that I know the most about, and I thought it was the most expensive album ever made. Boy, was I wrong by quite a bit. Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy. This is by far the one that took the longest to make and probably had the most ridiculousness attached to it. $20 million to make it, took 9 years to make it. What wasn't the money spent on? I mean, so many different recording studios, so many different musicians. The songs were re-recorded so many different times. There's songs like the guy who's the drummer in the Foo Fighters now, Josh Freese, was the original drummer for the new Guns N' Roses. He wrote the song Chinese Democracy, and 2 other drummers re-recorded his drum tracks like before, and that's 1 song out of 14. Okay, I could go on. It's everyone was a producer at one point on this. Like there were rumors Dr. Dre was involved at one point.
I was.
Moby was involved. I was going to say Lauren was brought in as a producer at one time. Roy Thomas Baker, who produced Bohemian Rhapsody, was brought in and let go at one point. Like it's just insane the amount of people that were involved. Here's the issue with this one. So $20 million to make it, 9 years to make it. It only debuted at number 3. It had 3 singles, kind of 1 official single, 2 released to the radio. But you can't come up with definitive numbers for how many records this sold.
I love your notes for this. You can't come up with definitive numbers for pretty much anything. The amount of time, it said 9 years, and you're like, some people say it took longer than that. How many singles? 3, sort of. Like, yeah, I mean, everything is just like,
it's a very big part of like folklore and pop culture. This
wild.
Thing. But what the thing is with this record is in Europe and everywhere outside of the US, you were able to just walk in and buy this album like, a normal person. Mm-hmm. Here in the US, Best Buy did an exclusive. This was that era where like Walmart was doing the exclusives with the Eagles. You have that Elton John set. There's a lot of people that were doing exclusive. The Stones had one. So Best Buy bought the rights to the record here in the US, and it was only available on cassette and vinyl. The US vinyl is atrocious. Do not ever buy a vinyl. You can tell by if you flip it over on the back, if there's an FBI symbol right beside the UPC code, do not buy that copy of Chinese Democracy.
Wait, FBI doesn't sound for fully British import?
Right.
No.
And it's funny because there's a song called IRS that mentions the FBI in the song. But anyways, so Best Buy bought 1.3 million copies, but never reported how many they sold. And they ended up having to clear out a lot of copies and everything. So no one really knows. The biggest number you can find on the internet in the most places, which doesn't make it fact, but it's what I could find, is supposedly worldwide it sold 2.6 million copies.
Okay.
So at a cost of $20 million adjusted for inflation, if it sold 2.6 million copies, they'd have to sell it for what?
$7.69.
Which again, they're still doing all right.
If that's true.
If they sold 2.6. Yeah. So who's to say?
Who's to say?
Yeah. Now the last one is one that really honestly shocked me. I couldn't believe that this record cost this much. What I could find was that the money on this went to 10 different producers and 100 different musicians. That's insane.
A lot of people.
Michael Jackson, Invincible. This record cost 4 years to make. Like I said, 10 different producers, 100 different musicians. Over the course of 4 years, it's a very long time. If you look back at like how long, like many consider Dangerous, Bad, and History to be masterpieces. Those took 2 and 3 years to make. Took a year longer than that. It did debut at number 1, and there were 3 singles released, but the numbers on this are so much lower than what you would expect from a Michael Jackson record. And they all can't be Thriller. They all can't be 100 million records sold. Mm-hmm. But even coming off of Dangerous and History, this is still really low. Again, this is one where some people say a low number, some people say a high. It supposedly has sold between 8 and 10 million, which on a side note, I think is crazy because this record is criminally underrated. Like you had probably never even heard a note of it until I played it for you.
That's true.
It's a very good Michael Jackson album. Mm-hmm. And it's upsetting that it has never sold more. Also, Sony, please, for the love of God, re-release these records because people really want to buy them. But as it stands, $71 million to record this album. And what did you use for sales sold?
I used 10 because it was easier math.
That's fair. And that would cost them what?
$7.10.
So it's still
$7.10.
Still, they made their money back.
Sure.
And so, well, my point of that is it's not even like they're like, oh, well, it would cost us more money to reissue this or whatever. Like, no, you've already made your money back on this record,
I crunched the numbers.
She did crunch the numbers.
Paperwork.
So this is a little bit longer video than we usually do, but I thought this was a fun topic.
Yeah, it's so fun.
And I really want to open the comments on this because like what we are telling you here is what I could find on the internet about things. So like if you know something I don't know about these things, or even the Victoria Beckham record, like if you own it or you've heard it and because I will defend Chinese Democracy all day. I'll defend the Michael Jackson Invincible record. Like if you know about these, like that record and you're like, this is a really good album, and whatever, or more about these things, by all means drop a comment because that's what we love reading that stuff. Like I can't tell you the number of times I say to her like, hey, go look at the comments somebody just left because it's really interesting what they had to say or whatever. So, and if you have a topic for the channel, drop that in the comments as well. Cause like I said, what we do now is basically what we talk about in real life. We just bring it to the channel. Drop a like on the video if you would, please. That helps us grow. Once again, that is Lauren. My name is Russ. As we always say, thank you so much for watching.